It's my honor and with pleasure to welcome all of you to Interfaith Festival of Unity of Iman. I'm sure that, as usual, because of the presence of our distinguished speakers, we will have a very good and productive program. The whole idea of this festival, and it says Interfaith Unity, is to bring people from the different faiths together, try to learn from each other, try to understand each other, and hopefully we get closer to each other to help mankind. Without any further talk, I'm going to invite the speakers, and this time, after they sit down, I would ask them to introduce themselves.
Salam Alaikum. My name is Amir Boozari. I teach law at UCLA, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees, member of Iman, and I welcome you and hope you we all engage in a very productive conversation and dialogue with, as we had in the past 2 years, and I hope you enjoyed the day. Thank you very much.
I'm Steve Gilliland. I'm the Director of Muslim Relations for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
I'm Rabbi Haim Beliak. I'm here as a repeat offender. I come very often to the center, and I appreciate being here. I work as the executive director of a group called Fiske, which is the attempt by the Jewish community to restart a progressive Jewish community in Poland. I have been involved here in Los Angeles in a number of activities dealing with interfaith work, and specifically want to wish all of you Ramadan Kareem.
Shalom, Om Shanti, Salam Alaikum, Pasia Contigo, Dona Nobis Panchem, Mir Miromir, Pe Dalmamon Daucha, Aloha! Frida sei mit dir, Salam Lechulu Alem Sekayini He Iwao, Heping Hitet Bayu Sulaho, Satanam, Om Mani Padme, Om. Peace, 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 may peace be unto all. My name is Stephen Longfellow Fiske. I am an interfaith minister, which means I love you all. And we build bridges. We build bridges.
I couldn't possibly top that. My name is Father Alexei. I also am a repeat offender. I've been here several times. I'm delighted and honored to be included once again. Officially, I'm the Ecumenical and Interreligious Officer for the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Los Angeles.
I'm Rabbi Sara Bassin. I am the Executive Director of New Ground, a Muslim-Jewish partnership for change that works to strengthen Muslim-Jewish relations here in Los Angeles.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Salam Al-Marayati. I'm with the Muslim Public Affairs Council. And as Dr. Namazikhah says, I usually stay close to the door, because in Dr. Namazikhah's tradition, he usually breaks fast about an hour and a half after sunset. I like to break fast a little sooner, so I go and sneak a cup of water at the end of the session while he continues talking and giving us great lessons. But seriously, I'm very honored to be here again. I consider myself a member of Iman. I come here more than I go to my own mosque. And I enjoy the company and the hospitality and the warmth of this great community. So thank you very much.
Now we know all of the distinguished panelists. I'm going to start the first question. The good thing about this discussion is that none of these panelists know about the question in advance. And that's why we don't have any preparation, and always they can say that they don't have an answer, but they always have an answer. Okay, we have gone a long time. September 11, then Oklahoma City bombing, Columbine High School, Texas Army massacre, Virginia Tech, theater in the Colorado, and recently the Sikh temple. Where our community is heading and why we have all of this problem. We start with Salam.
Start with the problem. Yes. Well, you know, you've listed very significant events. I was actually in I was in Oak Creek, Wisconsin on Friday for the funeral of the Sikh tragedy. And I was there, and in the Sikh tradition, they have a wake, so all the bodies were there, their faces uncovered, so you actually saw their faces, those who were killed by the terrorist last Sunday. It's only been a week. And I'm glad that Dr. Namazikhah listed all these incidents, because to me, they're all one and the same. And politicians have a way of making certain violent incidents more important than the other. And the media also does the same thing. For example, during the Aurora shooting, the President of the United States personally went to Aurora and met with the families of the victims and was there, and the whole nation was in mourning. And the National Football League, even their team, the Denver Broncos, dedicated a day to go and visit the victims. And I'd have to say that even though we were all in a state of mourning over what happened in Oak Creek, Wisconsin, we did not get that same reaction. There was not that same concern or sense of urgency or, oh my God, what is happening to our country, when it was Sikhs who were the victims. And I would say if Muslims were the victims, it would have been the same situation. It would have been something that, yes, it's too bad. Too bad that there's this one guy that was crazy. Where, as opposed to if a Muslim were the culprit, the sky is falling, the whole world is turning upside down, we're losing our democracy and our freedom, this is a existential threat to our democracy, and so on and so forth. So there is a lot of politics to that. And even in terms of what happened in the Sikh tragedy, there were a lot of politics that we have to be aware of before that incident. When people like Michelle Bachmann, this congresswoman from Minnesota, is saying that Muslims are infiltrating American society, and it is acceptable discourse in our nation. It is given media coverage, analysis, to see, well, maybe what she's saying is correct. That kind of legitimacy towards that kind of hate brings about the kind of violence that we saw in Oak Creek. And we have to come to say, as Dr. Namazikhah said, and I think as all of us feel, are we one human family or not? If we are one human family, then we stand against any kind of violence, no matter who the culprit is or the victims. We don't make distinctions between any of them. But if we play into the hands of those who say America is a club for only a few and the rest of us are visitors, then it will continue to see the dehumanization of people like the Sikh community and the Muslim American community and others. And violence against them is understandable. Even the notion of what happened in the Sikh temple, listen to what happened. They said, the Sikhs are not Muslims, they should not have been attacked. As if it's okay to attack Muslims. Such insidious references to religious labeling and dividing our country like that is going to lead to more hate, and unfortunately will lead to more of this kind of violence, because it lends credibility to the terrorists that attacked the Sikh temple. And Aurora, Sikh temple, 9/11, Oklahoma City, Fort Hood, they're all evil acts. Let us stand against evil as one human family.
bless you.
Salam, I think that the unfair distinctions that you bring up are really important, and the angle that I'm looking at this from is from the lens of what is the impact of interfaith work in this realm, and is there an impact of interfaith work in this realm? And I think that part of the foundation for these unfair distinctions comes from the fact that people don't see themselves in the other, right? People make distinctions and say, I am not like them. And that comes from a lack of familiarity. It comes from a lack of relationship with people who are not like you. And I think that points to the importance of interfaith work in general. The need for our communities to be interacting and not necessarily lessening the distinctions between our communities, but creating the possibility for us to see ourselves in the other and the humanist in the other. And one of the greatest difficulties I think that interfaith work faces right now is a branding issue. That interfaith work is often looked at as lovey-dovey, kumbaya, something that the left wing does of all the movements, but it's not really a mainstream endeavor. And I think that the imperative for those of us who are involved in interfaith work is that we have to make sure that it's relevant to the mainstreams within our own communities. Because unless we're transforming those centers and creating that space for people who consider themselves to be at the core of each of our communities, we're not doing the work that we need to be doing. We need to make sure that interfaith work isn't marginalized. Because if interfaith work is just looked at as fluff, then it's not going to have the ability to impact these issues and to marginalize the people who are committing these heinous acts.
I certainly would concur with my two distinguished colleagues here. And Salam, you mentioned Oklahoma City. I don't know whether you know this, but directly across the street from the federal building at Oklahoma City was our Catholic cathedral. And the bomb that Mr. McVeigh exploded, killing all those people in the federal building, lifted the roof off of the Catholic cathedral and it came down catty corner, so the whole thing had to be redone. And when they redid that, they put a wonderful memorial in the cathedral courtyard there of a statue of Jesus with a quotation from John's Gospel, one of my favorite quotations, Jesus wept, meaning Jesus cried, which he did at the death of his friend Lazarus. But the implication is that Jesus is there weeping for everyone, not just the victims of Oklahoma City, but any such tragedy. Any such tragedy. And I couldn't concur with you more about the fact there's a wonderful piece of Nurel Solid in the LA Times calling people's attention to the fact that, to say that Sikhs are often confused with Muslims, as if it's all right to go ahead and attack Muslims, but it's not all right to attack Sikhs. We have to be very careful how we use language. We have to be very careful about what we say about people, because very innocently, perhaps, I know somebody in one of the many interfaith organizations I belong to, we wanted to issue a statement on this recent tragedy, and they wanted to include that line in there, but Sikhs are often confused with Muslims. And I said, well, wait a minute. Are we in fact stating there then that they are, but it's okay then if Muslims had been attacked? So you have to be very careful on what you say. We live in a very, very different, very, very challenging time, but a very, very rewarding time. If you realize that maybe 50 years ago, we wouldn't be sitting here like this. And so we have an opportunity then to take what we do together and to recognize the divine in each person, as you were alluding to, Sara, and go with that. And once you recognize the divine in each person, you and I will interact with other people quite differently. Thank you.
I think we're at the beginning of a new consciousness. And we really have to have a call of conscience, an awakening, that we are one people, one planet, one love, one heart. We must stand together as a global family. And if you look historically, It seems easy to say that, but much more difficult to live and much more difficult to realize in reality. We're at the very beginning of this movement. Interfaith is a whole new ballgame, because in interfaith, we're actually seeking to build bridges across our differences. We're actually seeking to understand each other. We're actually seeking to reach our hand out to each other. And say, you may be a Muslim, but you're my brother, you're my sister. You may be a Jew, but you're my brother, you're my sister. We all see God in the light of our common humanity. And we all walk on this beautiful earth. We all breathe the air. We all sweat salty tears. We all have red blood. We're all children of God. And so we need to emphasize these connections. And we need to put a big exclamation point next to what we have in common, rather than what we have that divides us. We must emphasize our commonality. We must emphasize where we share the common ground and seek to reach out to each other and live there, be there. It's a matter of respect of the dignity of all people, and the right to worship the divine as you wish, as you see it. For me, as an interfaith minister, inter means across boundaries. And faith means to build bridges amongst all the religions, because all the religions teach the truth. All the religions speak to multitudes of our human family in ways that teach the moral and ethical values that we need to uphold if we are going to realize that violence should never be an option. And if we can find within our hearts that there are nonviolent ways to resolve our differences, and that there are nonviolent ways that we can lift up the human family to have these kinds of understandings, we're part of the revolution. It's a revolution of conscience. It's a revolution of consciousness. It's a revolution about the global family coming together. We are interconnected. We are interrelated. We are brothers and sisters. And in that realization, if we truly had that realization, we never do anything to harm each other or to harm the beautiful life support system of our beautiful earth. We'd always seek to build what is best for every human being on this planet to blossom into our fulfillment. That's what we're here for. We're here to love. We've been blessed with the ability to love. What a sacred thing. What a beautiful thing. We must call upon that love now. In light of these horrible incidents, we must reach deeper and deeper for that love and reach out to each other and do all we can to make sure that these kind of things cease